Alright, radio check, loud and clear. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Hopefully you guys should be able to hear me. And we are now 30 minutes away from the start of qualifying here in Miami. We've got a lot of action to look forward to. We've already had a lot of action today, really. This race that we had earlier today was absolutely sensational. The amount of chaos, the amount of action, simply incredible. A little bit anticlimactic towards the end with Lando Norris just winning the race behind the safety car, but nonetheless the rain caused all sorts of chaos, and it's going to be helping us out for qualifying as well, because the rainfall fell on the circuit. All of the rubber that was deposited onto the track, that has all been washed away, and since it's all been washed away, that means that we're going to see a whole lot of track evolution on the circuit during our qualifying session. So whichever driver goes out right at the end of Q1, right at the end of Q2, they're going to have the best possible laps they're going to have the best possible laps and the best possible track conditions. All right. So just a bit of a recap of what happened during the sprint race. Firstly, Charles Leclerc, unfortunately, he crashed on the way to the start of the race. So he damaged his car pretty severely, unable to take part. The Ferrari mechanics weren't able to fix it in time. We did have a red flag before the session even started, but still that was not enough to help out Charles Leclerc because, well, the problem was that the red flag would have only just delayed the start, but Leclerc was technically not entered into the race, and because he wasn't entered into the race, because he didn't do the initial formation lap, he wasn't allowed to just join in after the red flag was deployed. So unfortunate there for Charles Leclerc, but such is the way of some things, and it was totally Ferrari's fault. I'd like to point this out. I didn't mention this in the coverage earlier today, but Ferrari sent him out on a set of intermediate tires. They also sent Hamilton out on a set of inters. Hamilton came over the radio complaining like, "Why have you sent me out on inters?" Leclerc obviously just went and crashed, but every other driver was sent out on a set of wet tires, full wets, and Ferrari was the only one that were sent out their drivers on inters. So yeah, once again, another strategy blunder from Ferrari. I can't say that I'm surprised, but yeah, this one was a very, very big mistake from them, and well, clearly cost Charles Leclerc a lot of time. Well, it cost him just points, really. Hamilton ended up in third position. Leclerc could have done the same, but unfortunate, really, for him. All right, a couple of other things that I didn't mention. When Alonso crashed during the sprint, he crashed because Liam Lawson actually hit the rear of his car and then spun him around. So it wasn't really Fernando Alonso's fault for him crashing. It was Liam Lawson basically putting him into a spin and then into the barrier. So there was a bit of an investigation. Alonso and Lawson were both summoned up to the stewards after the session had finished, and they did a little bit of an investigation. I don't think any penalties were awarded. However, Oliver Behrman, who finished up in 8th position, he was handed a 5-second penalty for an unsafe release, I think. I will double check that, but yeah, he ended up losing that 1 point that he got, and Tsunoda got that 8th position. Also, Max Verstappen, he got a 10-second penalty for an unsafe release, and that is the first time Max Verstappen has finished a race outside of the points since 2016 in Belgium. It has been 9 years since Max Verstappen has finished a race outside the points. That is what an incredible stat, and just goes to show you the level of consistency. Even if there's damage to his car, whatever happens, if Max Verstappen doesn't finish the race, if Max Verstappen does finish the race, most likely he's going to end up, not even most likely, 100% chance he's going to end up in the points, apart from today. Yeah. No. So the stat is every single time he finishes the race, he ends up in the point. So, if the car has an engine failure or whatever and he doesn't finish, that doesn't count towards the stat. But nonetheless, a fantastic stat for Max Verstappen. And unfortunately, it's come to a bit of a bitter end. But I guess if you don't count sprint races, technically the stat is still going. So, fantastic, really, from Max. Okay. Will everyone take part in quali? By the looks of it, yes. I think Alonso will have his car repaired in time, so no issues there for Fernando Alonso, and he should be good to go for the rest of the weekend. All right. They did bring upgrades to the Aston, so I don't know if they will have had spare parts for the upgrades. I suspect they will have brought some spare parts, so I don't know if he'll have to downgrade back to an old spec of the car, but yeah, he will be taking part for the rest of the weekend. I think he's on a decline personally. Yeah, Alonso is he's not doing the greatest really this season, but he got unlucky with the DNF in Australia, then had a technical issue in China, then had not the best luck in the previous couple of races, and then another DNF here, and yes, the car hasn't been, yes, Alonso hasn't delivered, astonishing performances, but also the car really hasn't been all that quick. So Lance Stroll did a fantastic job, starting the race in 15th, ended up in 6th position, 9 positions gained from Lance Stroll's sensational drive. But yeah, it's not that Alonso suddenly just lost all of his pace. It is more so that, it hasn't, first couple of races just haven't really gone his way. So I think, he'll bounce back sooner rather than later. Quali will start at 15 according to the new timetable. Have I missed that? Have they updated the timetable without sending out a notification on the F1 channel? Because if they have, because normally they send out a notification when stuff gets delayed, but no, it's still saying qualifying starts in 20 minutes time on the app. So I'm gonna say that qualifying is still starting in 22 minutes. Okay. What else have we got going on, really? A pretty decent showing from Liam Lawson, to be fair. He also made up quite a lot of places on his on the race start, and then ended up in 7th position ahead of Hadjar as well. Hadjar actually qualified ahead of Lawson, but much better luck from Hadjar, much better driving from Lawson in the wet conditions. And another thing I'd like to mention, Antonelli, he had unfortunately, Max Verstappen had a unsafe release which got him a 10-second penalty. The driver on the other side of the unsafe release was Kimi Antonelli, and because of that, he wasn't able to actually come into the pits on his first pit stop. When he came into the pit lane, wasn't able to go into his pit box because Max Verstappen was in the way. He had to continue down the pit lane and then come in on the next lap. So that's what ruined Kimi Antonelli's race. He was up doing quite well, to be fair, and then ended up down in 10th position. So very, very unfortunate for him. Okay. It's in the FIA. It's in the document that the FIA sent out earlier. Okay. I shall. Okay. Well, I'll double check. But typically, typically the FIA also, the Formula One people announce it on the app and they change the timings and such. But I will let you know. All right. Also, I'll take you through a lap of the circuit as well, actually. Oh, yeah, quali, I think, is starting a little bit later. Where do you get the FIA documents? The FIA released them on their website. So, yeah, but I'll take you through a lap of the circuit. So here we go. Did you talk about Ollie getting a 5-second penalty for an unsafe release? Yeah, I did. Yeah, Oliver Behrman, unfortunately, he got at that 8th position, was going to score 1 point, but then got a 5-second time penalty for an unsafe release. Once again, not his fault. The teams have it's sort of the engineers that say, put the thumbs up and say, oh, now you can leave the pit lane, or now you can leave the pit box. But, the driver still has to suffer that penalty because if, let's say, the teams were going to just pay a fine for that, then what would happen is all of the teams would just say, go, immediately go, don't worry about the unsafe penalty, we'll just pay the fine. So that's why they have to put a real penalty in for the race. Otherwise, the teams will all just instantly get on with their laps. Okay, so I'll take you through an onboard of the circuit. Now we're going to have dry conditions. It's sunny out in Miami and the skies are blue, so conditions are going to be very similar to this. And you make your way out of the final corner, aim to get a good exit, shift up into 6th gear. These corners are all flat, of course, and open the DRS flap as you go down the main straight. And you're going to be aiming to brake at the 100-meter mark here, down into 4th gear, hit that apex. Don't drift out too wide because you need a good run through turn number 2 and 3. Turn 4 here, this is the tricky one. You lift off a little bit, just downshift, and then hold it flat through the next couple of corners. And then now going towards turn number 7, this is where the circuit tightens up, tightens. You want to stay on the clean part of the track there. If you drift ever so slightly wide, you're going straight off into the curbs and towards the wall. So we saw a couple of drivers do that in FP1, but in sprint quali those mistakes were ironed out. Now you've got DRS as you go through turn number 9 and turn number 10. You go towards now turn number 11 here, hit this apex nicely, and this is where we saw Alonso crash, this is where we saw Behrman spin as well in FP1, and then now you go towards the chicane here, very tricky, and if you hit that curb ever so slightly wrong, you get a huge snap, and you can start drifting around like you're in Tokyo, like you're in the Tokyo Drift movie. And you head down the back straight now with DRS once again up towards 200 miles per hour, 320 k's before you slam at the brakes. 110 meters, 100 meters is the braking point for this corner, and just make sure that you get a good exit onto the final, down the next straight here. You can re-overtake your opponent. If you get overtaken into 17, there's another DRS zone here, and you can re-overtake your competition in towards turn number 1. But that is a lap around the Miami Grand Prix circuit. Is it raining at the moment? No, it is not. All right. Behrman didn't get to keep his 8th place. His 5-second penalty was applied after the race, so this hasn't updated with the extra penalties applied in. So Behrman will have been dropped down to, let's say, down into 16th position. So unfortunate there. It should have been a team fine, but this is the thing. If you say that it's a team fine, then the teams don't care about the fines. Like, genuinely, the teams have so much money thrown at them. Ferrari, just for putting the HP logo on their car, they're getting 100 million every single year for putting the HP logo onto their car. Like, the teams aren't going to care if they get fined 10,000 euros, 20,000 euros, 50,000 euros for an unsafe release. What they will care about is a 5-second time penalty, and that's why they have to do it. It's unfortunate it wasn't the driver's fault, but the drivers get penalised for it. In the same way that, if the team sets up the car wrong and, the plank wears out too much, the driver gets disqualified, even though it wasn't technically the driver's fault. The team had the wrong setup choices and whatever. So it's just the way things go, to be honest. Yeah, honestly, if HP could pay me that much money, I would put HP on my, I'd get HP tattooed on my shoulder or something if HP were going to give me that much money. But yeah, oh, the time has just disappeared. Yeah, 16 minutes to go. Oh wait, no, it's not 16 minutes to go. It's what's it? More like 15 more minutes to go. Let me just double check if qualifying is being delayed. I'll just get 1 or 2 more sources before I increase that timer up. Because on the Formula 1 app, it still says 15 minutes, which I'm a bit surprised about. But maybe they just haven't updated it. All right, is there another way to give engineers a different symbol for the drivers on team radio? Unfortunately not. The way that it works is that it just takes the radio transcripts and it doesn't have a separate broadcast for what the driver's saying and a separate broadcast for what the engineer's saying. It all just gets pushed into one audio clip, and then the AI, turns it into a text. So unfortunately, there's no way to sort of have it so the engineer's bit is on the right hand side of the screen and the driver's bit is on the left hand side of the screen. So yeah. All right. Also, folks, if you have any questions, let me know in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. We've still got 15 minutes or so, or maybe even half an hour till qualifying, depending on what the actual timer says. Is Alonso okay? Indeed he is. It wasn't too big of a crash, really. He got out of the car pretty much straight away. Obviously, he wasn't particularly happy about it. He was, in fact, more infuriated by the fact that what happened was, I think it was around lap number 7 or 8 or 9, where Alonso was saying, let me come into the pits over the radio to his engineer, being like, I know that the conditions will be fine, I'll be able to handle this, let me come into the pits. And the engineers were like, no, stay out, stay out. And then Hamilton was the driver that came into the pits first, or he came in second after Tsunoda. And Hamilton ended up in third position, and Alonso was saying to come into the pits at the exact same time. So yeah, really not ideal there, and that was what Alonso was more frustrated about. He was like, I shouldn't have even been battling Lawson. Like, I should have been up there in third place battling with Hamilton for a podium. And you know, when a Formula One driver with 20 years of experience tells you, "Oh, it's time to switch on to slick tires. I can drive," they probably should have listened, really. So unfortunate there for the Aston Martin team, and they ended up losing out quite a lot of points. Okay, why is Verstappen last in the race? You have pictured it. It's because Verstappen got a 10-second grid penalty that dropped him all the way down to the back of the pack. So that is why he is right at the back of the thing. So yeah, unfortunately, he did finish the race, I think, in a net fourth place, but with that 10-second penalty applied, that was right down to the back of the pack. Okay. Yeah, this race is chaos. I don't know if that was a good or a bad thing. No, I think it's a pretty good thing, really. But yeah, it's a bit strange. 10 second is pretty extreme for a sprint race. It is, however, in that situation, let's say if Kimi Antonelli hadn't had the best reaction time, didn't take avoiding action in the most optimal way, then there was a very, very high chance that Verstappen would have hit Antonelli. Antonelli would have spun around and went flying into his mechanics at probably 60 kilometers per hour, 50 kilometers per hour, which would have been a very, very bad outcome. Of course, nobody got injured, but it was so close. And that's why we saw the yellow flag in the pit lane. I saw a message from race control saying yellow flag in the pits. And I was like, this is strange. I've never seen that before. And that is why we had the yellow flag in the pit lane, because of that collision between Antonelli and Verstappen. So it could have ended very badly. And I think that's why they went a little bit on the extreme side with a 10-second time penalty. Okay. What else have we got to talk about? Yeah, Stroll had a very good race, and the Williams as well, of Alex Albon in fourth position. Fantastic drive, really, from Alex Albon. We didn't really see much of him during the race. He wasn't really battling with anyone, but put in a consistent drive, came into the pits at the right time, and up into fourth position he went. So, sensational drive from him. And I think that we'll be able to see, once we get around to qualifying today, I think we'll see Albon in Q3 again. He does seem to have the pace. The Williams look pretty good, and I expect that Carlos Sainz, after he hopefully doesn't make a mistake going into turn number 17 like he did yesterday, and he can, well, end up in Q3 as well. Okay. What else have we got going on? Nothing all that much, really. Nothing all that much. You think Max would have stayed in P3 if he didn't have a timeout? Well, Max, yeah, he might have been able to hold on to it, but, it's all of these if, buts, and maybes. If the safety car hadn't come out at that perfect time, then Lando Norris wouldn't have won the race. If Hamilton had pitted one lap earlier, then he probably would have spun out on his out lap. There's all of these different combination of factors. So Lawson should not have gotten points for that punt with Alonso. Yeah, I mean, I think they had an investigation with the stewards afterwards, but no penalty awarded for that one. And yeah, not ideal really, because it was a race-ending punt, basically. He just crashed into him, spun him around and into the bar as he went. So, but you can't really penalise him based on the outcome. You've kind of just got to say that, well, it was a racing incident. Well, was it racing incident? Probably not. Lawson should have backed out of it way earlier. Alonso did have that corner, but Lawson obviously doesn't think so, and somehow he managed to convince the stewards that it was okay. All right. Oh, is the decision still not out? Okay, well, they were both summoned to the stewards. I guess that the decision hasn't come out yet. All right. So, yeah, we should be getting underway in 9 minutes' time. I don't think the session is being delayed. It's on the FIA website. Okay, well, it's on the FIA website, but it's not on the Formula One website, which is I don't know how they've managed to mix this up. Like, if the session's getting delayed, it's getting delayed, but and we still haven't got a message from race control either saying it's been delayed or not. So we'll just have to wait and see. I will keep you up to date, folks. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. We've got 3,000 people tuned into the live stream, and we'll be getting underway for the coverage very, very soon. All right. Yeah. It's a full change of the timetable, but I don't know for sure then. Yeah, it's strange. Normally the FIA, when there is a delay, they send out a notification on the Formula One app being just like, oh, the session has been delayed, just so everyone knows. But they haven't sent one out, and they haven't even updated it on the Formula One app either. Okay, what else have we got to talk about, really? I think what we can talk about is who's going to get pole position today. Is it going to be Antonelli again? Will the Mercedes have pace? Because I think Russell, if Antonelli could stick it on pole position, Russell had better race pace than Antonelli. We could see he was catching him, and we could see over the, he was saying over the radio, "Oh, I've got so much more pace than him. Let me go by. Let me go by." Of course, that didn't happen, but I think that Russell and Antonelli could really compete. Maybe it's a one-off here in Miami, but it was quite strange, really, because in Saudi Arabia they were struggling a lot for tyre wear, so they weren't that good in hot conditions, and now they have now here in Miami, when track temperature was up at 50 degrees yesterday, somehow Anthony managed to hook together a perfect lap and stuck it on pole position. So, yeah, the Mercedes seems to keep fluctuating about. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's not. But potentially, there's a chance that he could get pole position. I think the McLarens, of course, they'll have some pretty solid pace as well. And well, we'll see what Max Verstappen can do. He's always a bit of an X factor, even though the Red Bull might not be there. Max Verstappen, with the help of maybe Tsunoda giving him a tow in Q3, why not? Maybe he could end up on pole position. At F1 Gamer, if they get Charles's cars fixed, can he still qualify? Yes, he can. Charles Leclerc's car will have definitely been fixed by this point, so he will definitely be taking part in the qualifying session. Fernando Alonso's car as well will have been fixed. The mechanics probably will have had to skip lunch, but they will have skipped lunch and they will have got the car fixed, and Alonso will be good to go for the race. So no worries there. Good to go for qualifying and the race. Do you think, with all of these penalties Max is getting, will cause concern for Max hitting the maximum penalty points on his license? I don't know, actually. I think he's 2 or 3 points away from hitting the maximum penalty points, but I think he's also got a couple of penalty points expiring in the next couple of months, so it shouldn't be an issue. And also, you've got to take into account they don't expire after a certain number of races; they expire after a certain number of months, and we haven't got another race for the next 2 weeks, and then we've got a triple header and then another break. So I think by that point, Max Verstappen will have a couple points expire and he should be fine, as long as he doesn't, do something ridiculously dangerous today or tomorrow. All right. BBC Sport website says 2:15 start. Okay, fair enough. I shall just, I'll just go on the FIA website on my phone and see for myself. But I believe you guys, but I guess it's just my job to double check and make sure that everything is as standard. But yeah, Max got no penalty points there for his unsafe release, but he's still a couple of points away from actually getting a full race ban. Behrman did get a 5-second time penalty, and F1 quali session delay. I think it will be delayed probably. I don't know why, because the F1 Academy race finished about 3-4, well, yeah, it finished about 5 minutes ago. So if it finished 5 minutes ago, then they do have enough time to do everything. Okay, F1 Gamer, it's document 45. Okay, wait, in fact, it might actually have come through. Let's see, have we got the qualifying data coming through yet? Because if we've got the qualifying data, then we may be able to... Oh, no qualifying data as of yet. So, all right, well, that probably explains it, actually. Yeah, we would have got qualifying data if the session was starting by now. So let me just increase that timer. Apologies, folks. Qualifying has been delayed by 15 minutes. And, yeah, unfortunate, but that's the way things are because of I guess they just need time to clear up all of the F1 Academy stuff and then get underway for the Formula One. But F1 Academy did finish like 5 minutes ago, so they did have time to get everything ready, but I guess they're just delaying it anyway. The FIA still needs to do a track inspection, which will take around 10 minutes, so that doesn't matter. Okay. Fair enough. I guess it makes sense, doesn't it? Right, I'm going to have a quick sip of water. I'll be back in just a second. All right. Elephant Gamer, can you tell us about the weather? It is nice and sunny in Miami, really. Nice and sunny. No chance of rain right now. You know, of course, it was a bit of a very unexpected rain earlier today, and that is no longer the case. It is nice and sunny, and we probably won't be getting any more rain for the rest of the day. All right. And yeah, really, yeah. Let me know if you guys have any feedback on... Why is it in 17 minutes? Yeah, this is the thing. The FIA have delayed qualifying, but they haven't told everyone about it. It looks like Formula One is still unbeknownst to the fact that the qualifying has been delayed because their Twitter is still saying that the session's starting, except that now it's yeah. I mean, I'll just double check. I'll double check that we've actually getting qualifying has been delayed, and yeah, it has been here, ladies and gents. Because otherwise we would have had the data come through on the screen, but no, we haven't had any qualifying data. So, session is starting in 15 minutes' time. Apologies for the delay. Right, yeah. What else have we got going on then? So... couple of other things. The Haas team, they have made some solid progress. However, I think Haas now have decided to totally stop development for this year's car, and they've moved over to 2026. And same story can be said for Williams. Williams also look like they aren't going to make any more upgrades to their car, just 2026 upgrades for now. And Ferrari are planning one more upgrade package. That is it for Ferrari, and that upgrade package is going to come in after the Spanish Grand Prix. So the Spanish Grand Prix, as many of you may know, is the Grand Prix where the new regulations are going to come in about the flexible front wings, flexible rear wings, and essentially what it's saying is that your front wing and your rear wing are not allowed to flex anywhere near as much as they currently do. So when those upgrades comes in, Ferrari are going to have a new upgrade package to, specially designed for these slightly tweaked regulations, and that is going to be their final upgrade package for the season. Those are at least the rumors. Nothing's been confirmed, but that seems to be what the case, and that's going to be their final upgrade package. McLaren, of course, they are benefiting quite a bit from the flexible wings, and the real benefit from the flexible wings is that you can afford to run slightly higher downforce going through the majority of these corners and the majority of the circuit. You can run higher downforce because when you go onto the straight, you'll have a slightly flexible rear wing or slightly flexible front wing that will reduce the downforce level and reduce the drag level as well, and hence give you the same amount of top speed but give you a little bit extra downforce. And that little bit extra downforce, all it does is it makes the setup job way easier. We hear this a lot, especially over the Red Bull car, getting the car into the correct window, getting the setup absolutely perfect. and then once the setup is perfect, the car will be quick. McLaren at this moment in time doesn't have to deal with any of those sort of issues because they have the flexible wing. They can crank on a little bit extra downforce, have the car very stable for a wide variety of setups, and still have the speed through the straights. So yeah, once the rule change comes into place at the Spanish Grand Prix, it's quite likely that this McLaren advantage, of maybe 1/10, 1.5 tenths every single circuit, that is going to get smaller by a significant chunk. So yeah, it's a good thing for the sport. And the other thing is that Ferrari timing their upgrade package with the same time as the regulation change means that there is a chance that when the regulations happen and they come into effect, Ferrari will have a car that potentially can compete with the McLarens. And as we all know, back in 2024, at the Miami Grand Prix was the first race that Lando Norris won, was the first race that McLaren would in 2024, and that's when the season started going upwards for them. And the very similar thing can happen for the Ferrari team. They're doing half decent as of now, and once the new regulations come into place in Spain and they have the new upgrade package, maybe this year will be Ferrari's year. We just won't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Okay. On F1 Gamer, I can hear you for hours and never get bored. Well, I mean, you could probably rewatch the testing streams then. The testing streams were just constant yapping from me, and it was quite entertaining, really. I had quite a lot of fun. It was quite exhausting, to be fair, commentating for like 8 hours a day, especially when there wasn't that much going on the track. But it was some good long episodes of the F1 Gamer podcast. So yeah, and to be fair, we're underway with the F1 Gamer podcast here as well, given that qualifying has been delayed by 15 minutes. So currently, qualifying should have started 3 minutes ago, but now we've got 12 minutes till we get underway. And in fact, we've just got the data coming through for qualifying as well, so that's fantastic. So let me just get rid of the sprint data, and now we've got the qualifying data. Fantastic. Okie dokes. So yeah, all 20 drivers on the grid. It'll be the standard 18 minutes, 15 minutes, 12 minutes. Everyone going to be using soft tyres, and pretty standard stuff, to be honest. All right, let me just put it onto the qualifying mode, and fantastic. Who do you think will get pole? Honestly, I have no idea who I think is going to get pole position. It is far too close to call. So yeah. What does Lewis's drive today tell us about his adaptation? I don't think it tells us much about his adaptation, really. It was a good drive from Lewis, and he, got a podium after all. However, it's not a sign that he's adapted to the car. The fact that he was able to make that call and was able to get up into third position was purely due to his experience in the car and Ferrari mechanics listening to him. Alonso also had the experience in the car. However, the Aston Martin mechanics didn't listen to him when he said he wanted to pit. Alonso and Hamilton both were coming over the radio saying, at the same time, basically saying, I want to come into the pits now. And Ferrari mechanics listened to him. He came into the pits and then delivered, with driving the car at a reasonable pace after the pit stop. And Alonso didn't come into the pits and ended up crashed out of the race after Lawson crashed into him. But point being that, yes, Hamilton ended up in third position, but that wasn't purely due to pure pace. That was more due to a good strategy call. So we're still yet to see what Hamilton's pace is like. I don't think he's going to, with the way things are going, it looks unlikely that he's going to really be able to match Leclerc. And even if we look back to last season as well, like George Russell beat him 19-5 last season. We had 24 races last season, and 19 times George Russell outqualified Hamilton, and only 5 times Hamilton outqualified Russell. So Russell and Leclerc, very similar sort of pedigree of drivers. They're both sort of at a similar age, both at their peak of their Formula One career, and this is the best that they've ever been up until this point. They haven't reached their peak just yet, but this is the best point of their career. And Hamilton is unable to match Russell and is now unable to match Leclerc. If you look at into the details of the data, the majority of the lap time what Hamilton is losing, he's losing it in the high-speed corners when you really need to trust the car to get onto the throttle early. So let's say Bahrain, Sector 2, through a lot of the high-speed corners in Saudi Arabia, through the high-speed corners in Australia, through 9 and 10, all of those tricky corners, that's where Hamilton's losing the majority of his time because he just doesn't have the trust in the car. And when he does try to exceed that limit and try to go quick through the high speed, he gets a snap at the rear. So yeah, it's not going out well for Lewis Hamilton, and we'll just have to wait and see how it progresses. Lawson got a penalty. Yeah, I think Lawson may have been given a penalty. I will double check this because I don't know why it takes the FIA so long. Like, the race finished 2.5 hours ago, and now they're giving out penalties. Like, it does, like, in a football match, there's a referee and they decide it there and then, like, yeah, this is a penalty, and they go watch the replay, and it takes them a maximum of 5 minutes. So I don't know why the stewards have to have a discussion with Alonso and then a discussion with Lawson, and they're like, after this discussion, we're going to give out a 5-second time penalty. Like, they have all of the replays, they have all the telemetry, just decide it for yourselves, guys. The FIA, honestly, they are, for a sport that prides themselves on being the fastest cars in the world, for the FIA are ridiculously slow. All right. Let's see. Yeah, they have way more telemetry and data than football, indeed. So I don't know what's going on with the FIA and why it takes them so long, but it's a joke, really. Albon 2 for a penalty, question mark? I don't know. Albon got a penalty for staying below the minimum time under a safety car. Well, there you go. Albon got a penalty as well. Albon ended up in 4th place, and that means the entire sprint qualifying order has been, messed up. Not messed up, but like, it's all changed now with Behrman with a penalty, with Lawson with a penalty, with Sainz with Albon with a penalty. That's 3 drivers that have dropped down out of the points, and 3 more drivers that have been promoted up. So, yeah, thanks FIA. Love you guys. But yeah, we're now 7 minutes away from the start of qualifying, and yeah, all right. Why is Norris in 12th position? It's just the order's totally random. There's nothing much to read into that. Yeah. Okay, F1 Gamer, what software do you use? It's called Multiviewer, but you need F1 TV to actually use it properly, so there you go. Also, folks, if you do want to watch the Formula 1 coverage and want to, watch all of the footage and the cars going around the circuit and things like that, then all you need to do is get Surfshark VPN. There is, I'll just show you the steps. So basically, you just, to watch Formula 1 for $2 a month, you pay the $2 a month to Surfshark VPN. You download it onto your computer, join a Austrian VPN server. Then once you've done that, you search on Google Service TV, you log in, you make an account, you watch Formula 1, and you enjoy, basically. The commentary is German, so if you are from Germany, then you can watch that, and you'll understand it. If you're not from Germany, you don't understand German, then you'll have to mute the commentary and listen to mine instead. But it's quite easy. You just pause whichever one's ahead, get both of them synced up, and then once they're both synced up, you just watch the coverage as if it's standard stuff, like a normal TV coverage. So if you guys are interested, there's a link in the description. I'll just post a message into the chat now as well, and should be. Yeah, if you guys are interested, go ahead and check it out. We've had, I think, more than 50 people from the channel have gone and bought it and are watching Formula 1 via Surfshark. So it definitely works. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and have a look. Right. Do you know any reason why Lewis is taking time to adapt, like a fundamental difference between the Merc and the Ferrari? Any theory? To be honest, there isn't really that much explanation. I think there's been a lot of talk about Lewis adapting to the car, but we are now six races into the season. 6 races is what? Well, we've done 5 races of the season so far. That's 1,500 kilometers of racing in the cars, plus however much mileage he did in testing. That's more than enough time for a 7-time world champion to adapt to the car. And I don't think it's now a matter of, is Lewis Hamilton going to adapt to the car? I think it's just not really going to happen, in my personal opinion. Like, maybe it'll happen in the future, but as of right now, the way that it looks, that Lewis Hamilton is a bit past his prime. Like, he's a 7-time world champion. He's the most decorated Formula One driver with the most race wins. But sooner or later, you are going to hit a point after your prime where you're not going to be as quick. Hamilton, put him in a Formula 2 race, he'll absolutely destroy every one of the Formula 2 drivers. And put him in an equals car race against the majority of the Formula 1 grid, he will still lose. He'll still win against the majority of the drivers. However, you put him against Charles Leclerc, you put him against George Russell, the best drivers of the young generation. It's a bit of a losing battle for Lewis, I think. And, I think he'll be able to get within a couple of tenths of Leclerc on a few occasions, out-qualify him. But expecting, a 40-year-old driver to compete with Charles Leclerc at the peak of his driving career is, I think, wishful thinking. It's very similar to, Michael Schumacher had his perfect era, with his perfect run with Ferrari, won loads of championships, and then when he retired and then was in Mercedes. So it's sort of a similar thing. Nico Rosberg beat him when he was at Mercedes. Are we going to say Nico Rosberg is better than Michael Schumacher? Probably not. He did beat him in equal machinery, but I think Michael Schumacher is still the better driver. So I think that's the sort of situation and the stage of Lewis Hamilton's career that we're at, the post-prime era, as you could say. All right. Put Lewis in a McLaren and he wins. What do you want about? Well, I mean, maybe he could win, but would he be able to beat Oscar Piastri? If he, look, I'm not a Lewis hater. Lewis is a fantastic driver, and I would like to stress this. But if you look at last season's performance, he gets out-qualified by George Russell 19-5. This season, he's getting out-qualified by Charles Leclerc. Things aren't going particularly well, and sooner or later he is going to be past his prime. And the same thing, Fernando Alonso, fantastically quick driver, but if you put 2006 Fernando Alonso against current Fernando Alonso, I think it's safe to say the 2006 Fernando Alonso is going to win, in the same way that the 2018 Lewis Hamilton would probably beat the 2025 Lewis Hamilton. Yeah. All right, let's see. What other drivers have we got to talk about? Carlos Sainz. I think Sainz has done a brilliant job adapting. Sainz had the reverse of Lewis. He was in the Ferrari-powered car. He's gone to the Mercedes-powered car. He was quicker than Albon in the last race in Saudi. In fact, he slowed down to give Albon DRS and allowed him to, stick with him and make sure that he didn't get overtaken by a V-carb. So good teamwork there from the Williams crew last weekend out in Saudi Arabia. And I think that Carlos Sainz has done a good job adapting, and this session I expect him to make it through into Q3. All right, we're 2 minutes away from the start of the session. We've got drivers already queuing up at the end of the pit lane here. Is the track damp or wet? The track is totally dry. As you can see here, track temperature 44 degrees. The Miami sun has baked the circuit, and it is getting extremely hot once again. So, yeah, the circuit is dry. However, there is no rubber laid down on the circuit. Track evolution is going to be at an all-time high. There is going to be, the laps at the start of Q1 are going to be 2, 3, 4 tenths slower than the laps at the end of Q3. It's going to be a huge gain in lap time for the drivers because of track evolution. So they're going to have to be very, very wary of that. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to have a quick sip of water. I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so yeah, we have 1 minute away from the start of qualifying. Already quite a lot of drivers lined up at the end of the pit lane. We've got a nice little traffic jam. You can never get away from traffic, but everyone out on soft tyres as is expected, and everyone's going to be crawling out the pit lane as well. The reason why we've got drivers queuing up 2 minutes before the start of the session is because they want to cool their tyres down, because in the Miami heat, 45-degree track temperature, your tyres are going to be overheating on your quali laps, and they want to ideally start their quali laps on fairly low track tyre temperature. Okay. Let's see. What else have we got going on here? Is the greatest rookie taking part in quali? Well, I don't know. Is the greatest rookie Kimi Antonelli or is the greatest rookie Fernando Alonso? But no, Fernando Alonso is taking part. As you can see, there's a team radio message to Fernando Alonso. It's now 30 seconds. So yeah, he's firing up his car. His car is good to go. They will do an install check and, he'll drive around, shift up into 8th gear, make sure all the gears are working as expected. But there we go. The timer is ticked down to 0. We're getting a green light at the end of the pit lane and the drivers are making, yeah, there we go. Green light at the end of the pit lane and we'll have our first driver out onto the circuit. There we go. Gabriel Bortoleto. Very nice. Yeah, Bortoleto out, and then we've got Hulkenberg, and yeah, everyone else making their way out onto the circuit now. 8,000 people, 8,600 people tuned into the live stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button, very much is appreciated. All right. After quality, can you post the official sprint standings? Yeah, I'll post it on my Instagram. So if you guys go follow my Instagram, F1_gamer_5. That is my Instagram. I'll post it up there. I mean, you'll be able to find it. Someone will put it up on the news anyway. So yeah. F1 Gamer, do you think Mercedes can get pole? Definitely. It should be good for them. Kimi Antonelli had the pace in sprint quali, so I don't see, unless they've changed the setup quite a bit after sprint quali, I don't see a reason why they can't be getting pole position today. Purple sector for Bortoleto. Yeah, I mean, all of these drivers, first driver out, he's obviously going to be setting purple sectors. But as you can see here, Stroll comes out on a U set of tyres. A lot of drivers here, they're all setting banker laps. So Stroll out on U set, Lawson, Alonso, Hadjar, Sainz, Albon, they're all out on U sets of tyres. This is the thing, in a sprint weekend, they've obviously used their soft tyres at the end of SQ3 as well. So they don't want to wear out, and they've used soft tyres in... they didn't use soft tyres in SQ1 or 2, but nonetheless, they've used soft tyres in quali session, in practice session as well, and they don't have that many fresh sets of soft left. So we're going to see a couple of banker laps. As you can see, Max is here out on a 9-lap set of soft tyres to do his first banker lap in Q1. So yeah, this is what I'm saying. Track evolution is going to be huge, and that's why the drivers are out on banker laps. And the other thing is they just don't have that many fresh sets of softs. So that's another reason why they're using used tyres. Okay, 10,000 people tuned into the live stream. That is fantastic, folks. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. I hope you guys are enjoying the coverage. I'll be commentating the sprint race tomorrow. Not the sprint race tomorrow. I'll be commentating the actual race tomorrow, and I hope to see you guys around for that one. All right. Yeah. So we got Hulkenberg, Bortoleto, Gasly, all starting their flying laps now. Looking good so far. And we'll keep an eye on who's getting a tow as well. I did have a replay. I saw what happened in yesterday's sprint quali, and Alonso made it through into Q3 yesterday's sprint qualifying, and how he did that was via a tow from Max Verstappen. He gained 0.2 of a second down the back straight because he got a tow from Max Verstappen. It was a huge tow, and after the qualifying had finished, he came over to Max and said thank you, and I had a nice little friendly chat with him. But you can gain a huge amount of time. And as you can see here, Nico Hulkenberg, he's just chasing down Max Verstappen, and he's getting a nice mega tow as well. So Max giving quite a lot of these other drivers just a tow, because why not? Might as well make some friends while he's at it. And let's just say Fernando Alonso or Nico Hulkenberg, one of these drivers do make it through up into Q3, then I'm sure they'll be able to give him back the favour and give Max Verstappen a tow. And we got the Hulkenberg, Bortoleto, Gasly up in the top 3 as of now. Alonso quickest through the first sector, second quickest through the middle sector. And Sainz goes up into first position there. Nicely done there from Carlos Sainz. And doing across the line, and that's first place for him. We got Gasly in 4th, and Albon now quickest through the middle sector, taking that away from his teammate Carlos Sainz. Sainz gets a nice little tow off Charles Leclerc as he heads towards turn number 17. Purple final sector for Nico Hulkenberg. Alonso comes across the line at 128.0, and now we've got Sainz across the line, a 128.0 as well. For him, he's at 18 milliseconds back from Alonso. Nicely done. And then we've got Alex Albon up into first position. Good job there from Alex. And he goes 0.2 quicker than Carlos Sainz. Nicely done, nicely done. All right. What else have we got going on then? Not all that much. Not all that much, to be honest. Alex Albon goes. Oh yeah, Alex Albon up into first position. Tsunoda, though, not a great lap from him. I mean, he's on a used set of tyres, so fair enough. Verstappen, on a 10-lap-old set of tyres, goes up into first position, a quarter of a second ahead of Alex Albon. Wow. Great lap from him. We'll see what Hamilton can do now. Hamilton, fourth place for Lewis Hamilton. Pretty good there for Lewis. And yeah, purple in the final sector as well. Piastri goes up into first position. Nicely done from Oscar Piastri. And he goes a quarter of a second clear of Max Verstappen. But he is on significantly fresher tyres as well. And Norris comes across a line. That's third place for him. And he goes a tenth back from Verstappen. 3/10 back from his teammate once again. Okay, yeah, we got 1,000 people tuning into the live stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We got Charles Leclerc up into 10th position there. Not a great lap, and those are 5-lap-old tyres for him as well. So both Ferrari drivers, still got some improvement left to go before they get up to the likes of the pace of McLaren and Red Bull. Merck having GPS issues again. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but oh yeah, George Russell's GPS. Here we go, man. Oh, incredible. Oh well. It's just your average day in the office, really, for the Mercedes for the Mercedes guys. GPS glitching out again, and Russell dives into the pit lane. He's going to be he's set his banker lap, but of course aborted his banker lap right at the end, came into the pits, and now he's going to put on a fresh set of soft tyres and go do his actual Q1 run. Brilliant. Is George okay? Yeah, he just teleported up to hyperspeed to disappear off the map. But apart from that, George Russell is absolutely fine. Okay, if we're looking at the track dominance here between Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen, Piastri is quicker in every single part of the circuit except the combination of turn 4, 5, 6 and 7. That's where Max Verstappen is gaining a bit of time, and the combination of turn 1, 2 and 3. So just those corners is where Max Verstappen gaining time. Apart from that, the entire rest of the circuit, it is Oscar Piastri gaining time on Max Verstappen. Alright, yeah, we've hit 1,000 likes. That is fantastic. Thanks everyone for hitting the like button. Be sure to subscribe. And yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the coverage. Track temperature still up at 44 degrees. The sun is still shining. And the drivers are still having their tyres overheat. Albon out now on a fresh set of softs. Alonso also out on a fresh set of softs. We've got 10 minutes left to go and they are out on fresh sets. That is interesting. I guess that they're not that certain they're going to make it through into Q3, so they're coming out early to do their soft tyre runs. But yeah, bit of a bold choice because the final 2 minutes of quali is going to have perfect track conditions and, well, will be slightly quicker. But I guess Williams have enough confidence that they'll be able to make it through into Q2 regardless. All right. There's some talk between Hadjar and his engineer about who was allowed to go ahead in the traffic jam. Carlos Sainz unrightfully, I think, squeezed through into the gap, and Hadjar wasn't particularly happy about it. But yeah, it's not really an issue now. Hadjar's on a flying lap here. Tsunoda will get out of the way as he heads towards turn number 4, and now Hadjar doing a very, very good job there, pushing that car to the limit. And Hadjar, honestly, considering that this is his first season in Formula 1, he's only done a couple of races with the team, he's doing a fantastic job, being able to keep ahead of Liam Lawson fairly consistently in qualifying. And yeah, in the races, maybe their pace is a little bit closer, but Hadjar is doing an outstanding performance, really. And I think that he is prime candidate for a potential next Red Bull seat. But, is he going to replace Tsunoda? Tsunoda's probably going to stay there till the end of the season. Then we'll have to wait and see what happens there. All right. We've got Alex Albon. He's being investigated for pit lane infringement. That was the issue between Hadjar and Albon. So I don't know if I said Hadjar and Sainz earlier, but I was referring to Albon. Apologies for the mistake if I did make one. I forgot what I said, which is quite mind-blowing since I said it about 30 seconds ago. But nonetheless, we've got Sainz going very well through the middle sector. Quite a lot of purple mini sectors there. Gasly with a brilliant lap up into 5th position there for Pierre Gasly. And he's on a fresh set of soft tyres, so that's definitely going to help him out. But Hadjar goes up into 2nd place. Great lap from Isaac Hadjar. I don't know where he's pulling this pace out on. Apologies there for that screen just flashing about. We got Stroll up into 11th position. Great lap from, well, not the best lap there from Stroll. Alonso still up in 7th place, and he improves on his previous lap up into 6th. Then we've got Tsunoda across the line currently to start off line lap. We got Sainz across the line, 1st place for Carlos Sainz. Thank you very much. 2/10 clear of Oscar Piastri. Then we got Leclerc across the line currently in 13th. He's starting off line lap. Behrman across the line, 15th only for him. Hamilton comes across the line to start off line lap as well. We got Albon on his flying lap. Across the line he comes. It's 3rd place for him, still a quarter of a second back from his teammate. Kimi Antonelli, the previous pole sitter from the sprint, up into 1st place. Great lap from Kimi Antonelli, and it is 21 milliseconds clear of Carlos Sainz. Bortoleto, what a lap from Bortoleto. That Sauber is an absolute tractor. They did bring some upgrades this weekend, but not enough to bring it up into 5th position. Sensational lap from Bortoleto. Lawson as well up into 6th. Hadjar in 7th. We've got 4 rookies up in the top 8, which is great to see. And yeah, Hulkenberg as well up into 7th position. This is what I'm saying. Track evolution is huge. And Russell somehow 4/10 back from Antonelli again. He was 4/10 back yesterday and again 4/10 back today. Of course, we still haven't reached the end of Q3, but nonetheless, not looking good there for George Russell. His pace is identical with the Saubers, which is not a good sign. All right, we've got Ocon across the line, 13th place for him. 6 minutes and 33 seconds remain of this session. Yuki Tsunoda, currently in 20th position, comes across the line now. He goes up into 9th place there for him, and we got the 2 Ferraris now on their flying lap. 17th and 19th for the 2 Ferrari drivers. Charles Leclerc currently in 19th position across the line, 9th place for him, still somehow behind the Saubers, and Hamilton across the line, 15th place only for him. What is going on? And how have the Saubers gained so much pace? How is Liam Lawson up in 6th position? And why are the Ferraris so far down? It is very, very confusing how much has changed between sprint qualifying. We were here 24 hours ago doing sprint qualifying, and everything was absolutely normal. You know, we'd seen the top cars at the top and the slower cars below them, but everything has all been mixed up. And we got Max Verstappen on a flying lap. Now look at this mega tow that he's getting off Nico Hulkenberg. He gave Hulkenberg a tow probably about 5 minutes earlier, and now Hulkenberg repaying him the favour. Huge tow down the back straight. 339 kilometers per hour through the speed trap goes Max Verstappen. Out of the final corner he comes. Max Verstappen across the line. What is it going to be for him? 1st position, 2/10 clear, and this is what I'm saying. The 2/10 tow that he got from Nico Hulkenberg has just put him into 1st position. This sort of behaviour, this not behaviour really, but this getting a tow off another driver because you gave them a tow maybe earlier on in the qualifying session, but maybe you gave them a tow the previous race weekend, could really help out Max Verstappen. He is pulling. He's using every single trick in the book because he knows the Red Bull isn't there in terms of pure pace, but he's going to get tows off fellow drivers. He's going to hopefully just extract every single ounce of the performance that Red Bull has to offer to try and win the championship. He is not giving up without a fight. Piastri comes across the line, 2nd place for him. And Norris across the line, it's 5th for him. He's still 3/10 back from his teammate. Right. And a very, very big lockup from Hamilton. Hamilton lost 4/10 of a second with a huge lockup into turn number 17, and that explains his gap to Charles Leclerc. So that's why he's got to pick up the pace. I'm sure Leclerc made a fairly similar mistake as well. So that's why they need, that's why they're going out for their another run in Q1 here. Okay. Thank you everyone for tuning in. By the way, we got 15,000 people tuned into the live stream. That is absolutely incredible. Hope you guys are all enjoying the coverage as well. Look forward to commentating with you guys for the race tomorrow. It's going to be a mega one, especially with these 3 DRSs. We're going to see so much overtaking. Okay, what else have we got going on here? Also, I don't know if you guys can tell that the screen is ever so slightly lagging. I don't know if it's being portrayed over YouTube properly or not. But I will be getting that fixed for the next race. I'll be getting a new laptop to hopefully fix any sort of these lagging issues. Because of course, with this new setup, we've got loads more stuff on the screen and loads more processing that my laptop has to do. So I'll be getting a new laptop to get all of that sorted. Oh, we've had an issue down in the pit lane. The Saubers have been sent out, and now they're towing. He hasn't got enough steering angle to actually make it out the pits without crashing his front wing. So one of the mechanics had to pull the Sauber backwards, and then Bortoletto's turned the steering wheel enough to make it out the pit lane. Okay. Oh, you guys aren't seeing too much lag. Okay, fair enough. Well, I guess no issues then. But nonetheless, my laptop is pretty much on its last legs. Like, the battery runs out pretty much instantly, so I'll be getting a new one, and it will help out the stream anyway. Get a desktop. Well, I would get a desktop. However, since I'm at university, I have to take it to university, and I'm also traveling between university and home. Moving. Yeah, so there's a lot of traveling involved, and desktop doesn't exactly work for that. Where is Russell on the map? Russell is in the pits. Isn't that where he is? Oh no, Russell isn't on the map. Russell's GPS is broken. That's what it is. He teleported off the screen, and Russell's GPS is broken. So you're just going to have to base it off where his sector times are by the looks of it. It says he's going through the middle sector now, so I suspect he's in between Piastri and Alonso. Yeah. Classic Russell. On the telemetry it says he's 0 miles per hour. That's what it says for George Russell. So I don't know how Russell's done this twice now, but his ECU or his GPS, whatever it is, it's all broken. Again, indeed it is. Okay, so 1 minute 30 seconds left on the clock. Currently, the elimination zone has got Esteban Ocon, Fernando Alonso, Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll, and Oliver Behrman. The drivers at risk of being eliminated are Hamilton in 15th, Doohan in 14th, and Isaac Hadjar in 13th position. We got Russell across the line, third place for him. So yeah, that's clearly where he's on the circuit. He's just come across the line now. Third place, great lap, even though he has no GPS. And we got Albon across the line up into... Albon starting a flying lap. Apologies there. And Behrman also, I think... Oh no, Behrman's just done his quali lap and 19th place. That is it. Oliver Behrman out of qualifying. Very, very unfortunate there. The Haas, he ended up in 8th position. If it wasn't for his penalty, he would have scored a point in the sprint race. But that is Oliver Behrman eliminated out of Q1. Of course, he had that crash in FP1, which knocked his confidence quite a bit. He had a very big slide of the car going through the chicane during SQ1 yesterday as well. But still, just not that much performance from Oliver Behrman this weekend. And he's getting out qualified by Esteban Ocon. Gasly across the line, 15th place for him. Leclerc improved on his previous lap up into 9th position, but still not a huge margin there, and he is still half a second back from Max Verstappen's best lap. Okay, a couple more drivers now with 22 seconds left on the clock starting their laps. Hadjar comes across the line. That's 6th place for him. Hamilton starts his flying lap. This one's got to be a good one, otherwise he's eliminated out of Q1 is Lewis Hamilton. So let's wait and see what happens there. Stroll across the line, 18th place for him, unfortunately. It is not looking good. Alonso was 0.3 quicker in the first sector, same lap time in the middle sector, so maybe he can make it through up into first place. Not first place, up into Q2, sorry. And 14th place, it's going to be very, very tight if Alonso makes it through. We'll just have to wait and see. Albon currently in 8th position, purple in the middle sector, looking really, really good. And out of the final corner he comes, 4th place there for Alex Albon. Purple in the middle sector, purple in the final sector as well. Looking great are the Williams. And doing across the line, 11th place for him. Alonso gets pushed into 15th place now. And we have got Bortoletto left. Bortoletto in 9th place as of right now. Here he comes across the line, stays in 9th position. Norris in 8th, 2 green sectors, 3 green sectors, I think. Purple in the final sector goes ahead of his teammate by half a tenth of a second. Nicely done there. We've got Hülkenberg in 13th, unable to improve. Ocon on a flying lap, currently in 18th position. Across the line he goes, 13th for him, pushing Alonso into the elimination zone. Sonoda's getting close to being eliminated. He's on a flying lap. Hamilton as well is on a flying lap. Let's wait and see. Hamilton green in the first, green in the second, and out of the final corner he comes. What's it going to be for Lewis Hamilton? Up into 8th place, does not get eliminated. Yuki Tsunoda, however, is in the elimination zone, comes across the line very safely in 9th position, and that is the end of Q1, ladies and gentlemen. The drivers eliminated are Nico Hülkenberg, Fernando Alonso, Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll, and Oliver Behrman. So the two Aston Martins, after Alonso made it through into SQ3 yesterday, so a very big change of performance there for the Astons, and Bortoleto out-qualifying Nico Hülkenberg. Sensational job from Bortoleto. Honestly, there hasn't been much eyes on him, really. You know, the Sauber hasn't been that quick, so not many people looking at what's going on with them, but lap after lap, weekend after weekend, Bortoleto has been putting in some consistent performances, and he's up into he's up in 11th position, out qualifying Nico Hülkenberg again. So yeah, Bortoleto, one to watch really. He's been there in the shadows. Nobody's really been paying attention, but he's got some solid performances going for him. Alright, that is it. Q1 is done now, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll be getting underway for Q2 very, very soon. And F1 Gamer Proud Manager, Alonso Moment. Yeah, indeed, Alonso, I'm sure, will be very proud that Bortoleto is doing well. If any of you guys don't know, Fernando Alonso is, sort of Bortoleto's manager and mentor, all of those things. Sort of, he's working to, help Bortoleto find his feet in Formula One and do very well, and Bortoleto is beating Nico Hülkenberg, which I think is a great achievement for a rookie, because Nico Hülkenberg, a tried, true and tested, consistent driver, consistent midfield driver, always will deliver solid performances, and Bortoleto in his rookie season doing better than him on a couple of occasions now is, very mega from him. And Jack Doohan is doing nothing. Well, no, Jack Doohan up in 13th position. He's also beat Pierre Gasly. Yeah, the rookies this season doing fantastically. Antonelli getting pole. Then we've got Hadjar beating Lawson. We've got, we've got Doohan. I don't know why I just had a brain freeze. Yeah, we've got Doohan beating Gasly. We've got Bortoleto beating Hülkenberg. The rookies have embedded themselves very well into Formula One this year, and they're doing a fantastic job. All right, this is the qualifying for the main race, ladies and gents. So we had the sprint race earlier, and now we're going to have qualifying for the main race. F1 Gamer, generally do you see Formula 1 becoming a teenager sport by the 2040s? Well, this is a very interesting question, because if you look at the average age of a Formula 1 driver, in the 1980s and the 1990s, it was like 30, and then in the 2000s, it was 28, and in the 2010s, it was 27 or something, and now the current driver age, the average driver age, is I think 26. So the Formula One paddock is getting younger and younger in terms of the driver ages, and I would say that there is a limit, really. There's a limit to how young you can put these drivers into the car. Of course, we've seen Antonelli come in at 18. We saw Max Verstappen come in at 16, but I think that we are probably reaching towards the limit. Maybe you could get a couple more rookies in, but I think you're not really going to get much younger than this right now. Exoteric laptop fund, don't settle for a potato, spend the money. Well, thank you very much, Exoteric, for the donation. But honestly, from your donations and a lot of people's donations and the Patreon members and the channel members, I've already got the money saved up for the laptop. So thank you very much. And the help is very much appreciated. And I will get a good laptop. Don't worry. I've done my fair chunk of research, watched a fair chunk of Linus Tech Tip videos, and I've figured out a fairly decent laptop to buy for streaming. Okay. Unless HP are sponsoring me. If HP are sponsoring me, but then maybe HP can send me a laptop. But I'm gonna have to get on the phone with HP, really. Okay. When is Q2 starting? Q2 is starting in, well, I think it's starting in about 30 seconds, to be honest. I think we have drivers queuing up at the end of the pit lane, so not long now. What else have we got going on then? Yeah, not all that much. Q2 is about to get underway. We'll have the first laps will most likely be done on used sets of tyres, and then once the banker laps are done, then we'll have the fresh sets. Oh yeah, I'll take you through a lap of the circuit. So here we go. We have got a lap coming out the final corner. You get onto the power. Also, this lap has been recorded not by me. This has been recorded by Alessandro Finn. This lap is in fact 16th in the world of the fastest lap around Miami. So a sensationally quick lap, and this is what we're going to be seeing from probably Alex Albon, Carlos Sainz, from them in Q3. So you make your way through turn number 1, 2, and 3. You're flat through this part of the circuit. Turn number 4, once again, very tricky. You know, lift off a little bit, maybe downshift. Yeah, you downshift down into 6th, and then foot flat to the floor through these next sequence of corners. The track now tightens up, and you brake as late as possible, but you're steering and braking at the same time. Very easy to lock up. You stay away from the barriers there. The circuit's quite dirty on the exit. On the game, of course, it's not too dirty, but in real life, the circuit is very dirty on the exit of turn number, I forgot what turn number it is, but turn number 8, and you head down the straight here. You got DRS, great overtaking opportunity. In fact, the second longest straight on the Formula 1 calendar. This is where Behrman crashed, this is where Alonso crashed, but you make it through, hopefully not crashing. Up you go, up towards the chicane. You drive all over those curbs because it gains you a huge boatload of time, and then get a good exit, kiss the wall on the exit turn number 16. We've seen Gasly do it, we've seen Piastri do it. You can get away with it if you time it, and if you manage it to perfection. But of course, if you don't, then you ruin your rear axle, and then that's your session done. And then you go towards the final corner, brake at the 110 meter mark, 5G of braking force. Your brakes are fairly cool by this point, but the teams adjust the brake duct sizes for this, and you come across the line, and that is the end of a lap around Miami. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that lap, and a very, very sensationally quick lap as well. Honestly, I would not be able to do that. Georgia Christie, iPhone game. Oh, hello, Georgia. Yeah, nice to see you back on the stream. In fact, I know someone in real life called Georgia, and she makes a very, very good cake. Yeah, but that's totally unrelated to Formula 1. But yeah, nice to see you back on the stream, Georgia. All right. What else have we got going on? Track temperature going down. Oh yeah, the sun has been blocked out a little bit by the clouds, and track temperature's down to 38 degrees. We've got Verstappen, we've got most of the drivers coming out onto the circuit now, and they're out on fresh sets of tyres actually, interestingly enough. Okay. What else have we got going on? Yeah, pretty standard stuff, to be honest. We have everyone's just warming up their tyres and getting all the tyre prep ready. The other thing is to have your brakes at the correct temperature range, because going through turn number 1, you use the brakes fairly heavily into turn number 1. Then 2, 3, you don't touch the brakes. 4, you probably didn't touch the brakes through 4. Then you're braking at 7, and then you brake. The next time you brake is turn number 11. So your brake temperatures really have to be controlled quite carefully around this circuit. Otherwise, chances of overheating are quite high. Chances of them being too cold are also quite high. And the drivers do... the drivers are very, very careful managing their brake temperatures, really. And the engineers have got very well thought out plans on to ensure the fact that they don't have cold brakes going into braking zones, because that could really mess things up. All right. Why is Sonoda talking about DRS? I'm not sure really. I think Sonoda, all of the drivers will be using DRS. Let's just keep our eyes peeled for having a look on who's getting a tow. Verstappen comes out of turn number 16. Look at this. He's got Alex Albon ahead of him. Alex Albon, though, doesn't look like he wants to give Max Verstappen a tow. And he moves out to the left-hand side. Verstappen goes straight along. And no tow for Verstappen from Alex Albon. But, we'll keep our eyes peeled, because you gain 0.2 of a second by getting a tow down the back straight. So... yeah. Tiernan Kelly, F1 Gamer, you're my hero, a legend, and a gentleman. Interesting race ahead. Thank you, Tiernan. Very much is appreciated, buddy. And you're my hero too. Right. I shall continue on with the commentary. We've got Sonoda up into second place there. He's half a second back from his teammate. Not ideal, but... yeah, we'll wait and see what he can do. Oh, Leclerc, 343 Ks as he goes down the straight. You got a mega tow there from Lando Norris. Surely he's going to be purple in the final sector with that one. And he comes across the line, and he is purple in the final sector, but still not enough to get ahead of Max Verstappen. He gets an incredible tow off Lando Norris, but still can't get ahead of Max Verstappen. Just that first sector, Verstappen was 0.6 quicker in the first sector. That is mind-blowing. I mean, Leclerc clearly made a mistake because he was going slower than Bortoletto in the first sector, but regardless, not ideal. Okay, What else have we got going on here? Keep cooking Bortoleto. Honestly, I think Bortoleto might actually be able to make it through into Q3. He's doing some very, very good laps and should be should be on track to potentially make it through into Q3. He'll maybe need a good tow or something, but I think it's possible. Yeah, as you can see, Leclerc there, quickest through the speed traps, and Hamilton second quickest. Both Ferrari drivers have gone and got tows. Hulkenberg 341, and as you can see, yeah, everyone hitting 341 down the straights. Piastri quickest through the middle sector, and is looking really good. He's on a fresh set of softs. Albon up into second place. Sainz as well up in third. The Williams are doing fantastic drives, and Williams are looking so competitive. I mean, this is an ideal circuit for Williams. Williams are very typically good at circuits where aerodynamic efficiency is key, where you need downforce, but you also want low drag. Circuits like Baku, circuits like Belgium, and circuits like Miami. So here they are delivering, but we've got the two McLarens a cut above the rest, and Piastri goes up into first position. Lando Norris still 2/10 back. I don't know what Lando Norris is going wrong, where he's going wrong here, but every single time he does a lap, he's always a couple of tenths back from his teammate, and not ideal to say the least. Sainz got a toe off Hamilton, fair enough. I mean, all of these drivers are all giving each other toes by the looks of it. They're all trying to make some friends, so once they get into Q3, for the final Q3 run, someone's going to be giving them a toe. Okay, what's the difference between a sprint quali and a GP quali? Nothing, apart from the session in a sprint qualifying is slightly shorter, and you have to use medium tyres, apart from softs, but apart from that, it's the same stuff, like the bottom 5 drivers get eliminated and everything like that. Right. Okay, 8 minutes and 50 seconds remain of qualifying, and we've got half the grid in the pits, the other half making their way back into the pits. So everyone's done their first run, and everyone did it on a used set of tyres, apart from Lewis Hamilton, who did it on a 6-lap old set of softs, and George Russell, who did it on a 5-lap old set of softs. Apart from that, everyone else did it on a fresh set. So Russell's lap time will improve, and hopefully he can close up to Antonelli, because that gap, half a second, is huge. I mean, old tyres do reduce your pace, but not by half a second. George Russell has got a lot of improvement left to do, and Antonelli is really punching above his weight. Honestly, I really hope that Antonelli doesn't get disqualified for plank wear, because we saw one slightly sort of strange message from Alex Albon over the team radio yesterday. He came over the team radio and said, "How is that Mercedes legal?" ? Like, that's what he said, and it was a bit of a strange comment. I don't know if that was referring to how slowly the Mercedes was driving around, or if it was just so low to the ground. But I really hope, fingers crossed, that the Mercedes car isn't too low. It's not scraping the plank on the ground every time it does its laps, and the plank doesn't wear out too much, because the pace is looking fantastic. And if we can have a 3-way fight for first place rather than a 2-way fight, I'm all here for it. So let's wait and see. Louisa Hoffman, how fast can these cars go? Well, these cars can go up to 370 kilometers per hour. That's the fastest a car has ever gone. It was in Mexico 2016 when that happened. Valtteri Bottas got a huge toe off one of the drivers ahead of him. I forgot who it was, but it hit 370 Ks. So yeah, thanks for the question, Louisa. Are the cars faster than a snake? I think they are. Yeah. Okay. Very fast indeed, yeah. Okay. What do you think about the... what was this? With DRS and Slipstream. Oh yeah, with DRS and Slipstream. I thought it was Baku. 2016 Baku. Oh, was it Baku? Or maybe it was Baku then. I guess Baku does have a longer straight. I just thought it would have been Mexico, because it's the higher altitude one, so of course you have less drag, just because you're at 5,000 feet elevation in Mexico City. But I guess it could have been Baku as well, because Baku has a longer straight, so I can't remember. Will there be DRS in 2026? Yes, there will. Oh, I guess it was Baku then. I guess I'm remembering incorrectly. Apologies for that. I bet my house that Gabriel Bortoleto will get into the top 10. Well, sure, why not? So we've got 5 minutes left of the session. Everyone's just sat in the pit lane. Everyone's just waiting around now for someone else to go out and clean the track up ahead of them. But yeah, 5 minutes left of this session. Track temperature down to 38 degrees. Wind has also died down a little bit, so the driver's not going to be affected too badly by gusting winds here and there. And air temperature down to 27 degrees Celsius. The race record is in Mexico. The any session record was in Baku, and both were by Bottas in 2016. Okay, well that clarifies it then. Okay, so the quickest a car's ever gone in a race was Mexico, and then the quickest it has ever gone is Baku. Makes sense. 378 in quali, 372 in the race. That is fantastic. I mean, it's incredible that you guys know these stats like all the way to the detail. You watch Formula E? Probably not, no. I don't really watch Formula E, to be honest. Love your new format, by the way. I'm on a phone. Well, thank you. I was wondering a little bit if the text is a little bit too small for people on their phone to read, but I guess phone screens have got a lot bigger than they previously have. They previously were, like 5 years ago or so. So I think it should be fine. I think on my phone as well, it's manageable. All right, and also I'm just going to read out the standings for anyone listening to this broadcast, sort of like a radio rather than watching the stream itself. I'll just read out the positions. We've got, we're currently in Q2, and we've got 4 minutes left of the session. We've got Piastri up in first place, Norris in second, Antonelli third, Verstappen fourth, Albon fifth, Sainz in sixth, Leclerc in seventh, Hamilton in eighth, and Tsunoda in ninth. Bortoletto in 10th, Russell in 11th, Ocon in 12th, Doohan in 13th, Liam Lawson in 14th position, and Isaac Hadjar in 15th position. All right. I just zoom in when I'm on my phone. Yeah, I guess YouTube has added that feature into zoom in, so I guess it's handy if there's a couple of things that you can't read. But I try to make everything accessible to everyone. People, because it's quite difficult really, because there are people watching on their TV, there are people watching on their tablet, on their phone, and also on their computers, and it's quite difficult to make it fair and the correct size per se for everyone. What happened to Russell? Russell did his lap on a used set of tyres, so that's why he is out of position, and he's now out on a fresh set, so he should be okay. Verstappen also out on a used set of tyres here. Interesting. I mean, to be fair, Verstappen did his first run on a fresh set, so he can now do a second run on a used set, and he's still going to make it through anyway. If you just look at that gap there from first position down to 10th, it's 8/10 of a second, so it's unlikely that we're going to see Lawson and Hadjar gain huge chunks of time and potentially knock out, Verstappen or Antonelli or someone like that. I watch on both my phone and the 27-inch PC screen. Font size works well on both. Fair enough. Well, yeah, I'm glad that it works. Glad that it works well. All right. What laptop are you gonna get? Probably some Asus laptop. I've looked at one with a good graphics card, and so I can stream off it. And yeah. Can Yuki get a little toe in there? Yeah, Yuki could get a toe. I mean, it's all down to timing, really. If one driver can get a toe, then I'm sure on the next lap someone else will help them out and give them a toe. So it's all down to timing. Tsunoda might be able to get a toe potentially off Hadjar once he finishes his Hadjar will be doing a bit of a slow section, and Tsunoda will catch up, or maybe he'll catch up to Norris. So we'll just have to wait and see, really. If DRS will be available, what about Active Aero? So DRS will sort of be included into Active Aero. So as of right now, what happens is, just going down the straights, you have a little bit less drag, and that gives you a bit more top speed. In 2026, I think what's going to happen is, once you're within 1 second, going down the straights, you'll have a little bit less drag because you'll change your rear wing angle, and going through the corners, you'll have a little bit more downforce. Like, you'll be able to crank on a bit more front wing angle, a bit more rear wing angle, and it'll give you a little bit more downforce. So that's the Active Aero part of the 2026 regulations. All right, we've got 17,000 people tuned into live stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Very much is appreciated. And we've got 1 minute and 15 seconds left on the clock. Isaac Hadjar comes across the line, 10th place for him. Also, folks, if you guys do want to watch the actual Formula One coverage with all the data, with all with all of the footage and everything like that, then and you only want to pay $2 a month, then you can get Surfshark VPN. There's a link in the description. There's a link in the chat as well. All you've got to do is get the VPN, download it onto your computer, your phone, join an Austrian VPN server, and then just Google Service TV, and you'll be good to go. You'll be able to watch all of the Formula One coverage for only $2 a month by paying for Surfshark. Service TV is free, so go ahead and check that out. The commentary is in German, but if you don't understand German, you can just mute that and listen to me instead. Yeah. All right, we have got a couple more flying laps coming through then. Tsunoda across the line, he goes up into 8th. Sainz across the line up into 5th for him. Ocon is in 9th, Hadjar in 10th. We've got Hamilton is down in 11th. He is starting a flying lap here, but it's not going well for him. He's out on a used set of tyres for his flying lap, and he's currently in 12th. Russell improves up into 3rd place. He goes and matches Kimi Antonelli. Great lap there from Russell. He's now done this on a fresh set of tyres. FYI, folks, Russell's GPS is still broken. He's still not going to appear on the screen till the end of the session, but we'll just have to deal with it, really. Hamilton, though, is looking like he could get eliminated out here in Q2. He's on a flying... Actually, is he on a flying lap? No, he's not. Hamilton is eliminated. That is it. The checkered flag has fallen, and Hamilton's previous lap, first sector, was a 41.4. That is it. Hamilton eliminated out of Q2. We've got a couple more drivers to come across the line here, but nothing significant. Doohan came across the line. Lawson came across the line, 14th and 15th for them, and Norris is backed out of his lap as well. So that is the end, ladies and gentlemen, of Q2. And the drivers eliminated: Isaac Hadjar, Lewis Hamilton, Gabriel Bortoleto, Jack Doohan, and Liam Lawson. Unfortunately, Bortoleto couldn't make it through, and unfortunately, Hamilton did not have a good lap, and that is 12th place for him starting the race tomorrow. Tsunoda, though, does make it through, and good progress from the sprint weekend, getting eliminated. He got eliminated in Q1, and now he's made it through into Q3. Yeah, not ideal there for Lewis, and the gap between himself and his teammate was only a 10th of a second. The margins were very, very close. As you can see here, the gap between Ocon and Hadjar was only 20 milliseconds between the drivers getting eliminated and not getting eliminated. So very, very close indeed was the gap between those two drivers. So, and Hamilton as well. If he had gained even half a tenth, he would have made it through, but it's always if, buts, and maybes. If he had got a better exit, if he hadn't made a mistake, but he is making mistakes, and he's too experienced really to be doing that. Williams is still going strong. Indeed, they are. Both Williams through, both Red Bulls through, both Mercedes, both McLarens, and our two surprise entries are, of course, Esteban Ocon and Charles Leclerc. I mean, it's a bit of a surprise that we're saying Charles Leclerc is a surprise entry. It should have been Hamilton, not Ocon, but then we would have had 5 teams in the top 10 with both of their drivers. But no, Hamilton unable to put that lap together, and we've got instead of the Ferrari powered Ferrari, we've got the Ferrari powered Haas that has made it through into Q3. Yeah, Williams is faster than the Ferrari. Honestly, Williams is on an incredible upwards trajectory, and imagine one more year of regulations of this. Williams potentially could be competing for podiums and wins every race next season if the regulations were to stay the same. But I've already put my predictions in here, ladies and gents. I think Williams will be the fastest car in 2026. That's my prediction. Bit of a wild one, but that's what I think is going to happen. Right. Yeah, back where they belong, honestly. Williams returning to glory. Hamilton wants his 8th world title, but can only find 8th in the World Drivers' Championship. It's pretty savage, but it's also coming out to be true, really. I couldn't have really said that much better myself. What does it mean by humidity? Humidity is just the percentage of water in the air, like the maximum saturation of water. I'm not 100% sure what humidity is really, but it's something to do with how much moisture is in the air. It's not particularly relevant to Formula One, really. It's just the weather information. Like, you also it doesn't really matter what the air pressure is, but we still have the information. I never understand why they change the regulations every time the teams get close. The reason they change the regulations is sort of just to keep the sport innovating, really. If they didn't keep changing the regulations, then we would have had I also agree with your point to an extent. Like, we should maybe keep the regulations for 1 or 2 years longer, so that when the cars close up, we get the final 2-3 years of the championship really close battling. But yeah, the reason we have regulation changes is just to keep the sport innovating, to keep things coming up. You know, if the regulations didn't change back in 2009, 2010, then we would have never seen the double diffuser. If the regulations didn't change back in 2017, we wouldn't have seen the super complicated, intricate barge boards. If they didn't change in 2022, we would have had a lot less. We would have had a lot more dirty air, and we wouldn't have such complicated floor design. So it always keeps changing, and of course, the engine regulations keep changing for it to keep up to date with modern standards and things like that. So yeah, that's the reason why these things keep happening. All right, also I'll just put a timer up to when the session is going to start. It's going to start in, let me just say Q3 instead of QUALI, and yeah, there we go. All right, Q3 starts in 2 minutes and 52 seconds. Given how messy the regulations is for 2026, yeah, I know the 2026 regulations are a bit of a mess, to be honest, and I don't really know what's going to happen with that. It looks like some teams are going to have fantastic engine performance, and then some other teams are going to have absolutely no engine performance, but we will just have to wait and see, because, you know, these teams do have a habit of whining and complaining and moaning about the slightest of differences. Like, we could find out that, oh, Ferrari are only like 10 horsepower down compared to all of the other teams, but they were complaining as if they were like 200 horsepower down or something along those lines, because, well, these are Formula One teams after all. They are expert complainers. All right, I'll take you through another lap of the circuit while we're waiting to get underway for the final Q3 runs here. But we are going to be on board with Alessandro Finn, who's driven this lap for me very kindly. I haven't been able to drive on my Xbox since I've been doing all my exams, but yeah, this lap is 16th fastest in the world, and I suspect it's going to be very similar to what we're going to see from Alex Albon and Carlos Sainz. They make their way through the turn number 1 apex, hit that absolutely perfectly, drive all over the curbs here. The curbs are quite flat at this part of the circuit, so you can actually afford to drive over them. Then you go towards turn number 4 and 5, you tap on the brakes, flick the car to the left, to the right, and you just want to get a good smooth run through here. The car has to be settled and stable when you get onto the brakes here. If it's not settled and stable, you're going to be locking up the front, you're going to have understeer or oversteer, and it's just a recipe for disaster when you're braking and turning at the same time. Then you make your way down this mega long straight, the second longest the calendar has ever seen, and only second to Baku, of course, and you make your way towards the braking zone. Great overtaking opportunity. This is where we see Lawson and Fernando Alonso had their tangle in the sprint race. Then you go towards the chicane, hopefully driving over the curbs, not losing too much time, not bouncing around and losing your floor like we saw. I think it was Russell. Russell got a bit of damage to his floor at some point during the weekend, driving through that part of the circuit. And then, you know, you just make your way down the back straight. Once again, DRS here, you can gain 0.2 of a second if you have another driver ahead of you, so everyone's going to be looking to try and get another driver ahead of them. You brake at the 110 meter mark, hit the brakes very nicely, smoothly onto the power as you get on as you shift up the gears towards the final corner and the start finish line, and that is it. A lap of the Miami International Circuit, or as the hard rock track or something. I don't know exactly what it's called, but yeah, we've got 15 seconds left on the clock, and as you can see, the drivers are making their way to the end of the pit lane, and we should be underway for the start of qualifying any moment now. All right, there we go. Let's just turn that timer off, and we are underway. Where is that straight being measured? The straight it's being measured from the exit of turn number 8. So when I say straight, it means flat out section. So it's compared to the Baku's bit of flat out section. So Baku, I don't know, I think Baku has got 19 corners, but the final 3 are flat. So from the exit of like turn number 16 at Baku, all the way down to turn number 1, that's what's the longest straight on the calendar. But then turn number 8 all the way to turn number 11 is the second longest straight. But they're technically not straights because they've got corners between them, but it's all flat out sections. The second longest flat out section then. All right. Let's wait and see. Can DRS be used in QUALI? Yes, they can. Yes, it can. All right. So here we go then. We've got who have we got? Ocon, Tsunoda, Leclerc, Verstappen, Piastri, Norris all out onto the circuit. They're all crawling around at very slow speeds. And look at this, Piastri, slowest through the speed traps, 3:36 for him, and Leclerc's the quickest, 3:43. So the McLarens are one of the slowest cars through the speed traps, but they'd still have a considerable amount of pace, and that's purely just because in the corners they gain huge amounts of time because they have quite a lot of downforce. So yeah, working well for McLaren, even though they may not have the best top speed. Norris is there in 12th position with 338 kilometers per hour. Piastri's down there right in last place with 336. So, imagine if the McLaren drivers get a tow, what that could mean for the grid. I mean, there'll be huge domination, really, but yeah, it could be very nice for them if they did that, because their top speed is slightly lacking. Right. So here we go then. Who do you think is going to get pole position, ladies and gentlemen? Is it going to be Oscar Piastri? Is it going to be Lando Norris? Will he be able to bounce back, get ahead of his teammate who's been out qualifying him consistently every single quali run this session? Is it going to be Kimi Antonelli again 2 times in a row? Will it be George Russell? If Antonelli's got the pace, why not George Russell? He's Mr. Saturday after all. He might be able to deliver once again. Or is it going to be Max Verstappen? Is he going to hook up a tow down the main straight, the back straight, and the second back straight, and put together the rest of the corners in that Red Bull to get a pole position lap? Who knows? But we will find out in the space of 9 minutes and 30 seconds. I didn't mention Ryuki, but maybe Yuki will get a pole position as well. We'll just have to wait and see. But it doesn't look like Tsunoda's really got the pace. It doesn't look like Red Bull have got the pace. It's always just Max Verstappen is an X factor. Always Max Verstappen will deliver more performance than the car has to offer. And, it's unbelievable, really. The thing is, is the car close enough this weekend? Will Max Verstappen be able to get a tow off someone else, via the power of friendship, by basically just saying, on the first runs of Q1, Q3, I'll give you a tow, you give me a tow on the next run. But we'll wait and see what happens. We've got quite a few drivers on their flying laps though now, and Verstappen purple through the first sector, 28.2. That's quickest out of anyone. Goes a tenth quicker than Norris's purple first sector from Q2, and then he goes 33.2 in the middle sector. That's still 0.3 off the McLarens in the middle sector, and we'll see what he can do in the final sector, but looking good there so far from Max. And Ocon across the line, 27.4, Tsunoda 27.7. He's a quarter of a second back from him, but they're both on used sets of tyres, so not too much to read into there. Sainz and Albon, they're also on used sets of tyres, so their second quali runs will be much more important. We've got Ocon across the line. That's he's a second clear of... we've got Verstappen across the line. He's a second clear of Esteban Ocon. And great lap there from Max Verstappen, a 26.4 from him. Piastri across the line, and it is... oh my god, Piastri's in second place, a 126.5. Let's see what Lando Norris can do. He's purple in the middle sector by 0.2 quicker than his teammate in the middle sector, so he gets ahead of Piastri. Oh my god, look at this, the top 3 within 17 milliseconds. Formula 1 genuinely cannot get any closer than this. Sainz across the line, 4th place. He's got a long way to go. I mean, he's on used soft tyres anyway, but let's see what the Mercs can do now. The Mercs are looking good as well. Albon across the line, 4th place for him. They're both Williams drivers pushing each other to the limit. This is exactly what you want. Antonelli across the line, 4th place for him. He took a quarter of a second back, and we've got George Russell now. Mr. Saturday, what can he do? He's still not showing up on the screen because his GPS is broken, but across the line, it's 6th place for him, and he is... whoa, a huge chunk back from his teammate. He's lost a lot of time in the final sector there, has he? Pretty big mistake by the looks of it in the final sector for George Russell, and he ends up a big chunk back from his teammate. So the top 3 within 17 milliseconds. Then we're going to have Antonelli in 4th, Albon in 5th, Russell in 6th, Sainz in 7th, Ocon in 8th, Tsunoda in 9th, and Leclerc in 10th. Leclerc yet to do a lap, and Tsunoda, Sainz, and Albon yet to do laps, and Ocon as well yet to do laps on fresh tyres. Everyone else has done their laps those drivers did their laps on used tyres. Is the stream delayed? Because how is my telemetry so quick? The stream has a bit of a delay from YouTube's side, and I've also added in a little bit of a delay. It's just because YouTube, of course, has to take my coverage from OBS and my audio and everything, send it to their servers, and then send it all across the world. Like, we've got 17,000 people watching, which is incredible. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone for hitting the like button as well. It really does help out the channel. So yeah, that would very much be appreciated. But yeah, YouTube has to send it all across the world, and they have to add in a bit of a delay to make sure that people don't experience too much lag or buffering and things like that. Okay. Yeah. So the McLaren crew is back into the bits. Everyone back into the bits now. We've got 5 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock, and all 10 drivers are in the pit lane. They're all refueling. They're all looking at the telemetry from their previous laps, and they're all looking to now, well, put in the fastest possible lap that they've driven around this circuit. We've got a couple of replays here from Oscar Piastri. He's really pushing that car to the limit. The car bouncing about a little bit, and in fact, he lost a bit of time going through the chicane, unsettled the car as he bounced over the curbs, and yeah, he had two wheels touching the road at one point. So yeah, not ideal, and he could probably take a bit better of a line through there on the next lap, and that will help him out. And yeah, Lando Norris really showed up though. For the rest of the qualifying sessions, he was consistently 2-3 tenths back from his teammate. Now he's managed to get within 14 milliseconds ahead of him as well. They come over the radio to Oscar, say, we did measure a bit more wind. How's the front wing? So they're going to probably change, maybe they'll change the front wing angle, but yeah, the wind has picked up a little bit. I mentioned in Q2 it had died down. It was down to 3 kilometers per hour, but it's now back up now to 12 kilometers per hour. So the drivers are going to have to be a little bit more wary of that and take that into account when they're doing their quali laps. What kind of setups are needed from Miami? It's a very similar setup to Baku and Spa, where it's fairly low downforce, but it's not on Monza levels of low downforce. You still have a fairly standard front wing and fairly standard rear wing. It's just that it's on its lowest downforce setting. Let's put it that way. So the teams do want downforce because, there's still a lot of corners. 4, 6, turn number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 all require huge amounts of downforce. Then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, they're all pretty traction limited as well. And so you do need downforce, but of course you've got 2 mega long straights, 1 medium length straight as well. So you do also need a lot of top speed, and that's why we're on sort of a low downforce level setup for Miami. What happened to Charles Leclerc? Charles Leclerc coming out onto the circuit on a fresh set of softs. That's what's happening to Charles Leclerc. It's just that he didn't have, I don't think he had a fresh set of softs to do a lap at the start, and I think he just wanted to do 1 lap in Q3. So yeah, once he comes out of the pits, his tyre information will update, and he should be out on a fresh set of soft tyres. If Ferrari have sent him out on a U set, I mean, I won't be surprised, but I will be very confused and sort of angry. Like, what are they doing? But once he crosses the first sector line, that should confirm his tyre choice. And as of right now, it looks like he's out on a used set of soft tyres, which I don't know what Ferrari are doing. Like, how have they managed to mismanage their tyres so he's out on a used set? How is Leclerc and Sainz so quick in the final sector? It's because they got a tow. That's purely it. Leclerc has the fastest final sector because he got a tow. He was 343 Ks through the speed trap, and he got a tow off Lando Norris, and that's what helped him out, and that's why he's quickest in the final sector. And the same thing for Sainz. Okay. Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remain. Let's wait and see what's it going to be. And yeah, Charles Leclerc is out on a used set of tyres. The only driver in the top 10 out on a used set of tyres. Typical for Ferrari behaviour, really. You just, I mean, I'm just not surprised, really, am I? All right. Russell is out on used softs. Is he? No. Russell's out on a fresh set. Yeah. So here we go. Then Yuki Tsunoda is the driver to lead the way. Then we've got Max Verstappen. And Verstappen, he's starting the lap early, so he's not going to have the best possible track conditions, in terms of track evolution and things like that. However, there is a chance he'll get a tow from one of the drivers ahead of him. So we'll wait and see if that works out. We've got Tsunoda starting his flying lap, then Verstappen, then Ocon, then Leclerc. And Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. We are entering the final latter stages of Q3, and Max Verstappen is pushing his car to the absolute limit. He makes his way through turn number 3, 4, 5, and 6, and that car is sliding around. It looks like it's just on rails. Verstappen turns the car, and it just goes. What pace from him. This is incredible. 28.2 in the first sector, just beats his previous first sector time by 1/100th of a second or so, and he heads down the straight with DRS. What's it going to be? He's going to have no slipstream on this straight, but a very, very late braking into turn number 11 and 12. And now his tyres are going to be screaming. His brakes are going to be overheating, but he's going to have to hang on in there. Looks like he's not going to be getting a tow as well from anyone. It's just pure pace now. Nobody's getting a tow. Everyone's so spread out. Nobody is getting a tow off anyone. Maybe Tsunoda's going to get one off Antonelli, but that is going to be it. So here comes Yuki Tsunoda, currently in 9th position. Here he comes across the line. What is it going to be for Tsunoda? 5th place. Good lap there from Tsunoda. Solid progress. But now all eyes on Max Verstappen. He's currently in pole position by 3 milliseconds. Here he comes. Purple in the first sector, green in the second sector, across the line he goes, and 3/10 clear of Lando Norris. What a lap by Max Verstappen. But now that everyone starts looking at what the McLarens are doing. Ocon across the line, 5th place for him. Leclerc across the line, what's it going to be? It's 5th place for him. He displaces Esteban Ocon. He's half a second back from Max Verstappen. Lando Norris, purple in the middle sector. He's a 10th quicker than Verstappen in the middle sector, but Verstappen is 2/10 quicker in the first sector. The checkered flag is out. It is Lando Norris versus Oscar Piastri versus Verstappen for pole position. What's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Norris across the line. He cannot do it. He's half a tenth back. Everything now is on the shoulders of Oscar Piastri. What can he do? Here he comes across the line, Oscar Piastri. Oh my goodness me, it's 3rd place for him. He's purple in the final sector, but it is not close enough. He loses his streak every single qualifying session up until this point. He has been a 10th away from pole position or on pole position itself. This time, he's 2/10 back, a mega lap from Max. He didn't even get a tow. Sainz is up into 4th place, gets ahead of Kimi Antonelli, which is mega. And then we've got Albon in 5th. Here comes Kimi Antonelli, the last driver across the line. Is he going to stick it on pole position? No, but he splits the McLarens. What a lap from Antonelli. And Russell is still down in 10th position. Oh no, sorry, Russell's on his flying lap now. His GPS is broken and he comes across the line. Where does Russell go? 5th position. All right, that is the end of qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Max Verstappen on pole position, Lando Norris in 2nd, Antonelli in 3rd, Piastri 4th, Russell 5th, and they're all within the top 5 within 2/10 of a second. So close. Max is just like, how has he done that? I have no idea. There wasn't even a toe, there wasn't even a slipstream, and he's still put it on pole position, got ahead of both McLarens, and the guy's just a machine. Absolute alien levels of performance from Max Verstappen, and he's done it yet again. But the thing is, the race pace is not going to be there. We looked at the simulations. The race pace isn't there for the Red Bulls. It's going to be a long, hard-fought battle if he wants to win this race. Max Verstappen versus Lando Norris into turn number 1 is going to be as spicy as ever. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be commentating for the race tomorrow. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone for subscribing to the channel. If you guys do want to watch Formula 1 for $2 a month, there is a link in the description for Surfshark VPN. Check that out. You buy Surfshark VPN, you join the Austrian server, you watch Servers TV, and well, you get Formula 1. Okay, so that has been it from me. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm going to end the coverage now. I'll take you over to tomorrow's stream. If you could just hit the like button and the reminder button for tomorrow's stream, really does help out the channel. But apart from that, it has been a pleasure commentating to you guys. Have a wonderful morning, day, afternoon, evening or night, depending on where you are in the world. We've had another Max Verstappen masterclass, and tomorrow's race is going to be simply lovely. Okie dokes. See you in 22 hours for the race tomorrow. Bye-bye.